Hello, Internet. How is everyone? Hopefully good. Right, so we are live. My co-hosts here, Martin and Jonathan. Hopefully you can hear me, you can see me. We all good? Okay.
Yes, all good.
All right, so very good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be joining in from. Martin, you look a little frozen. Now you're back.
Okay, hopefully.
Yeah, you're all back. So let's get this show rolling. Welcome everyone. We love to know where you're tuning in from. So we saw some of those in the comments. So please let us know where you're watching this live. MCNets, good to see you from Spain. Which part of Spain? That'll be good to know. And congratulations on the World Cup win. Sasha is here from Canada, and Hawkman is here from Austin, Texas. Hello. All right, so this is a special live stream. We are literally going through our day, doing meetings and stuff, but I pulled these two wonderful gentlemen with me to do a quick little live stream here. Let's see. More people. Charlotte, North Carolina. Russ Humete. Hello. Oh, and more from Spain. There you go. We got some, Spanish love here. Scotland. Wow. Yeah. So a mix of late evening, early morning. Sri Lanka. I am very aware of where Sri Lanka is. Yeah, noob not found dev. So that's, late evening for you. So wonderful to see you all and have you all. So let's do a quick round of intros. This is the Uno platform release 6.6 release community stand-up. It's informal. We're just going to get up and talk through the favorite things we have built. And it's all, sharing the love with the community. It's all open source. This is all core Uno platform. So we'll talk about cross-platform.net that goes everywhere, right? So we are your hosts for the day. I am Sam. I'm a developer advocate over here at Uno platform. With me, I have Martin. Martin, do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yep. Hello. I'm lead developer on the core platform of Uno platform. So I'm doing all the controls, all the UI, non-UI APIs, and so on. And I'm working on the framework itself, so that everything that runs on top of it runs smoothly.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll talk about this. Like, we can make very fancy tooling like AI, and we got design and so much productivity, but the core foundation matters because that's where everything stands on. So we are very thankful to Martin and everybody who works on the core. And we have lots of community contributions as well. So so Martin and me, you see us sometimes, but we have pulled in a very educated and expert gentleman with us today, Mr. Jonathan Pryor. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Jonathan Pryor. I've been working on Uno for a little over a year at this point, actually. And the biggest thing I've worked on is in the 6.6 releases native IoT support.
Very exciting stuff. We'll get into it. And again, we are here together with the magic of tech. We're all over the different time zones. So I'm in the American Eastern time zone. Martin is in Prague, Czech Republic. So how far, you're 6 hours ahead of me, right? Roughly.
Yes, 5 p.m. Yeah.
5 p.m. Yep. And Mr. Pryor, you're Seattle, West Coast of the Americas?
No, I'm in the one true time zone, Eastern U.S.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Okay, I somehow thought you were West Coast.
I'm in Virginia.
Oh, I see. Okay, so 2 Eastern time zones. Yeah. MCNets, I did point this out to Martin. I do not have that white T-shirt. That sounds like a European special thing that Martin has made. I don't know. I am more in favor of the gray or the black. The black ones are kind of rare, and I like those too. But yeah, Martin makes everything.
Do some competition to get people those if they want to.
Yeah. Why not? Okay. All right, folks. So let's get into it. So we have quite a bit of things to unpack. So let's move around a few windows and see if I can get to my screen share. Where is my browser? Hold on for a second. I'm looking around. Where's my browser? And there is my browser. Okay. So let's maybe I'll start the screen share, and then Martin and John Elton can chime in on the things that they want. But let's go over the basics first. Okay. So Uno platform, for those of you who may not know, I'm going to pull up just the website itself where we start. This is crossplatform.net, latest .net. .NET 10 runtimes. We are actually looking ahead at .NET 11 already, because that's where every year we get a new .NET runtime every November. But right now the production reality for .NET is .NET 10. So we are using .NET 10 to take your .NET code everywhere, right? So there is a lot going on. We are very AI forward. As you can see, like there's a text box right there on the internet to say, give us a prompt and we'll build you an app. This is part of Uno Platform Studio, because we do a lot of tooling on top of it that is, very much catered towards developer productivity. So you'll be able to spin up a full .NET app that is cross-platform right in your browser, which again, like as a .NET dev, Martin, like you and me have been there from the early days, and I'm sure Jonathan here as well, but it's mind-blowing what we can just pull off, in the browser these days. Like
oh yeah. But you have to mention that it's not just running, but also editing on the fly. It's just no rebuilds. Amazing.
Exactly. So maybe towards the end, I'll show that off. But we could really spin up a full .NET project with NuGet package dependencies and give you an AI agent that is grounded with skills and MCP tools, and you can iterate on your app UI design either manually or with an agent right in the browser until you're happy with it, and then you drop down into your local IDE or CLI. So mind-blowing stuff. However, like Martin said, everything that we do stands on Uno Platform. This is the open source core of what we do. And the promise has been the same for 15 years now. Take .NET and just make it run everywhere. So we'll take your C# and XAML and .NET code, .NET runtime to iOS or Android. For mobile, we'll take you to all of the web browsers through WebAssembly and Windows, macOS, Linux, the right way to all of the places, and even embedded systems. Like we have seen things like Raspberry Pis or tiny IoT devices running on our platform. So why not? So yeah, a lot going on. I see more chatter here. Let's see. Oh, our good friend Dan Siegel is here. Hello, Dan. Yeah, I do have quite a few shirts. So back in the days, Dan used to run a thing called Xamarin Dev Summit. We all come from this C# and shared XAML background. So those are good days. Dark gray. Yep, that's fine. The black one is a Martin special. And cheers from Ireland. Yay, good afternoon. Okay, so this is the core, and this is where everything starts. Now, if you head out to blogs, that's where you're going to see a lot of the content that we put together that talks through what's top of our mind. And in there is this post. So I'm going to close that down and just take you in there.
Goes to my network.
What's that?
I had a network blip.
Oh, okay. No, we hear you. It's fine. Yep. Okay, so Uno Platform 6.6 release. This dropped, Martin, correct me, like a week or two back, like the bits were live.
Yeah,
and then we put out the blog post, I think, last week. So there's a lot in here. And this is, again, foundational to everything that we do in Uno Platform. However, we are taking .NET to all of the places. So, read through this. There's a lot of love in there that team has poured in. So we stand on the shoulder of our engineering team, who are amazing. So let's unpack a little bit. And maybe I can try showing you a couple of demos, and then I'm going to ask Martin and Jonathan some very dumb questions so they can explain to me how things are working under the covers, right? Okay, so 6.6 Uno Platform release is out. Let's start with maybe going over some of the bigger features, then I'll dive in. So native AOT across 5 platforms. So Mr. Pryor, dumb question to you. What is AOT? Can you explain?
What is AOT? AOT is one of many different ways to improve your app performance. And it has gone under multiple different names from multiple different companies over the 20 plus years of .NET existence. Anybody remember ngen.exe from .NET 1.0? Same basic idea. Pre-compile parts of your app in order to speed it up, either for startup time or execution time. Native AOT is a particular it does compile or translate the entire IL stream of your app into native code for a specific operating system and architecture.
Yeah. So, like in a nutshell, like when we write C# and XAML, like .NET over a .NET runtime, that gets compiled down, into IEL, and a lot of it is JIT, so just in time, and then we produce, native app packages. So you're saying we could, strip things down to a point where it could be natively compiled down for each platform.
Right.
Yep.
It takes IL as input and it emits native binary as output. That gives you wonderful performance implications, faster startup, faster execution at runtime, but it can also have downsides, such as a larger app size, because very often assembly is a very compact representation, and native code tends to be larger in many instances.
Yeah, good to know. I mean, there are times when we care about like down to a millisecond performance in our like startup time for our app, right? So mobile is the prime candidate. So you're saying now we have it across 5 platforms: Android, iOS, so the big mobile things, and then Linux, Mac OS, Windows, and we are noticing substantially faster, load up times, up to like 61% on Android, which is quite substantial. Now, are there, Jonathan, are there any considerations in terms of, the type of APIs we could use? Like we hear about, trimming things that we need to worry about, or how are those handled?
Somewhat poorly, depending on the app. If you have like random assembly.loads, those will fail at runtime. Native AOT needs access to all dependencies of your app at that point in time, and it will traverse the entire app and all dependencies and compile it into native code. So if you try to use an assembly load context or just assembly.load directly and try to load an IL assembly at runtime, that's not going to work. You're going to have a bad time. If you try to use type dot get anything, get type, get fields, get properties, that may or may not work because the native AOT process may remove types, numbers, methods, properties, what have you. There are various techniques in order to tell the native AOT tool chain to preserve those types, and you'll get a ton of warnings as part of your build process when it sees you using something that may or may not work or may not preserve the members when you want them at runtime. But it can be a painstaking process.
Yeah. Okay. We hear you. All right. So let's keep moving on. Looking at the comments here, Dan. We're not doing anything different, so it should be both sides of audio. But let's double check again, and let us know if you want to come back and check if you hear us on both yours. Okay. So MCP support. This is Model Context Protocol. Martin, do you want to quickly touch upon it? I can show this as well, but do you know what we did?
Yeah, it's like the change in this release is that the MCPs that we provide are now auto-registered when you're working on your UNO platform application. So it kind of eases the initial upfront cost of you having to register them yourself, and we do the heavy lifting for you. So it just simplifies working with MCP agents in your agents. But ultimately, the result is the same. You get our MCPs that help you develop your UNO platform application.
Yeah, well said. So like the best jokes are the ones that you don't have to explain. Like you fall into an environment where everything is wired up. So it's like, what changed? Well, you're not having to do any work up front because we just do it for you automatically. So I'll show you this. So we have, and this, by the way, is completely free for you to use with a community license. So the Docs MCP is particularly good. AI agents are amazing until you realize there's a lot of power and they're going blind at it, right? So you need to bring context to your AI workflows, to your agents, and the MCPs are a wonderful way. So Docs MCPs keep your agents grounded. So anytime the agent needs to do something, it's going to check our latest docs. So in a way, it's like RAG, retrieval augmented generation. So they always check the docs before they take any action. Or if you ask a question, you never have to leave Visual Studio or VS Code or Writer, whatever is your IDE. you get your answers right there. Now, App MCP, this one I'm very fond of because it gives your AI agents kind of eyes and hands so that you are able to not just, generating code is fast these days, right? But who's to say that code is actually working and producing the features or functionality that you want? Well, AppMCP kind of can help you validate. So you are essentially telling an agent to say, when I click on something, I want this to happen. Can you go ahead and type something in the app? So it has real access to the app process. It can see and walk through your app visual tree. So it's very good at interactive, testing, UI testing. All right. So next up is Vulkan. So this is Skia Sharp. Martin, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, this is the work of my colleague Ramesh, who implemented this new backend for Skia Sharp rendering. Basically, it's a modern replacement for the OpenGL rendering that is available on all platforms. Now we have Vulkan as optional opt-in alternative that is available on Windows, Linux, and Android. And the great thing is that in many cases, it can improve performance. And I think the highest performance boost will be available on Android if you opt into this new backend. For now, it's optional. You will all new applications will default to OpenGL, but you can change that to Vulkan if you want to, because it's kind of experimental for now, and we will in the future make this the default probably.
Yeah, absolutely. So Vulkan can be amazing in terms of performance as well, because again, it comes down to what type of hardware virtualization we are using that the platform offers by default. So, you can see it on Windows and Linux and Android. Sadly, I'm on Mac OS and I don't have Vulkan yet, but we're getting there. But OpenGL is fine, but Vulkan is just that much better. So it's an optional, way to opt into it. Our good friend Alvin is here. Hello, Alvin. Another wonderful person from the East Coast. We have so many, devs and MVPs in the East Coast. It's amazing. So yes, the Docs MCPs and the App MCPs are great because then you can validate and you can always be grounded. I can't get Vulkan to work with Skia Sharp v4. Okay, Hawkman, let's talk about that. There are some key hooks that we are doing as to how you enable that, and also what Hawkman is referring to is Skia Sharp v4. Now, Skia Sharp is the rendering engine that we use, and the default is still 3.6 or 7, something like that, Martin, for Uno Platform app. But you can actually opt in to do v4, and we'll have to check how that works with Vulkan. I think it should be enabled. But,
should be supported. Yeah, if you can post an issue, we will look into it.
Yeah,
it should be supported. We have tested it, so should be working.
Yeah. So a couple of things while we are talking about this. So let's open this up. I'm going to go back to the blocks again. What Hawknet is referring to is Skia Sharp. So this is again the rendering that we are using across platforms: iOS, Android, Windows, macOS, all the things. And this fills the gap. Skia Sharp is the best cross-platform rendering tool that we have as .NET developers. It's built on Skia, battle tested, pixel perfect everywhere, GPU accelerated wherever it makes sense. So Skia Sharp 4 reached like a major milestone after like 2 years of lots and lots of love poured into it. And the news in there is Skia Sharp is now being maintained by Microsoft and Uno Platform together. So it's all open source. We are contributing to it heavily because we see the value. We see, we adopt it all over the place. So take a look at what Skia Sharp can do for you. Let me see if I can pull up the GitHub repo because there are some amazing demos that, Martin, you mentioned Ramez has put together. Let's see, official Skia Sharp. Oh, Skia Fiddle. That's the one I was after. So if you wanted to take a look at what Skia Sharp can do for you across platforms, take a look at this. This is also linked from the Skia Sharp main GitHub repo. This is a fiddle. So you essentially don't have to do anything else. We can just show you the math and the code that it takes to render. So here's like the little setup, like the floats and the setup to initialize the brushes and stuff like that. And then here's the code. And yes, there's some math to it, but again, AI can help with math. But there are some amazing things that you can do and a fantastic performance. So all types of really fun shader things and static things. you name it. You can pretty much, variable fonts. This is really nice because as you scale your apps up and down, this is really, really nice, right? So yeah, take a look at Skia Sharp 4 if you're up for it. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Let's keep going. Less boilerplate in XAML code. I love this because I don't like boilerplate. Nobody does, right? So now we are really minimizing, what you have to write. Give me a second. I don't want to cough in your ears. Okay, so the point is we can take care of a lot of the boilerplate for you. And again, other XAML stacks have been doing the same thing. So the idea is less for you to write, more for us to assume based on conventions. So there are quite a few things in here that really help out. And there's automatic code generation. So we're talking source code generation. So if you don't need, like maybe many of you are purists when it comes to design patterns like MVVM. Like I know Dan Siegel is big into it. So many of you use these MVVM frameworks and you want to write almost no code in your code behind itself because you have your view models and your other orchestration layers that handle the communication between views. So if you didn't need a view model, you need to write one. Well, no, not anymore. So if you really don't need it, you can just totally drop it and we'll wire it up for you. And again, I'll show you some of this in action. Now, expanded WinUI API coverage. Martin, do you want to talk through this?
Yes, I can. I can actually show a few samples here.
Right. So you can show in a bit, but broadly, what are some of the big things in this release?
Yeah, sure. We are kind of expanding our coverage for Skia targets because the fact that we now have Skia Sharp ever allows us to bring all the API, more of the APIs that WinUI provides to all targets in the same way, so that they look the same, behave the same, and so on. So what we did in this release, we expanded some of the projection APIs and transform APIs. So those are kind of used in some controls as well as in some animations. So this will help your applications feel more alive. Then we have expanded our text rendering capabilities, which will be also mentioned later, but we added support for spell checking library. So you can add your dictionaries and have spell checking in your applications. You have text highlighting, so you can highlight parts of the text inside of text block. And we also have text streaming, which was not available before. So that's quite a big change for text. Then we have also improved menus. We completely rewrote the menu flyout control, which now has all the capabilities that WinUI has, including keyboard accelerators, better rendering, and also brings the new split menu flyout item control that was added to WinUI just a few months ago.
Yep.
And additional things like smaller changes, but one that I should definitely bring here is element level theming, which was highly requested feature and that has been missing for a long time. And now we are able to have nested theming in your application. So you can have parts of your application in dark theme, parts in light theme, and you can mix and match as you want.
Yeah, that's where the Mica and the acrylic windows come in. Yeah. Okay. You know what? I'm looking at the time here. It's been like 20 minutes, and folks might be like, "Are you just reading a web page here? Can we see some things in action?" Because like you rattled off quite a few things. I would much rather actually see things in action. So let's quickly recap. And accessibility now. Again, it's for Skia rendered apps. We got screen reader support. Multilingual support. This is very important because we want to make apps that are global. You might have your audiences in different parts of the world, so not all languages are treated the same by the OS and by your apps. So we want to make sure we are supporting you in the best possible way. So there's IME composition support. There's font fallback support. And Skia Sharp 4, opt-in support. So all of this is there. And for you to leverage all of this, there is a global JSON file that we drop in your own platform projects. So go upgrade. And there are upgrade paths, nicely written up in the docs. So, try that out. So I see a few questions in here, which we will get to answering maybe. But let me jump into code and we can, start talking through. I see questions from Noob Not Found Dev and Dan Siegel, which I would love to answer. Okay, since I am sharing screen, Martin, do you mind if I go first really quick?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So this is blinding to me. It's light mode, but it shows nicer with code because the dark mode gets a little harder to read when we are screen sharing. Okay, so this is a Hello World Uno platform project. So for those of you who have not done this before, the best way to start is choose your ID, choose whatever stack that you want to be on. So if you look at the getting started guide, like we are really agnostic. So pick Visual Studio, VS Code, Writer, whatever floats your boat. Or if you don't want to see or touch code, you want to go all agentic, do so. But get situated. So for me, on with VS Code is where I'm at. We have this like Uno check tool. What this does is like I can pull up my terminal really quick, and let's bump up the fonts. So if I run Uno check, and this is the way, like every time we push out a release, you should go run this because there are dependencies on iOS or Android or .NET runtimes, right? And get the simulators, get the right, runtimes, and you don't have to individually go and do all of this. So look at my stuff. Like it's all green. Like most of the time, it's like barking red at me because I have older bits. But this one CLI tool is going to get you all the bits, so you're good to go, right? So everything is green for me, and I am good to go, right? So once I have that, I know I have the bits that match up to the SDKs. So in your Uno platform project, you all will see this little file called global.json, right? And that controls the SDK version of Uno platform that you're using. So the latest one is 6.6.42. Martin, is that the latest, or am I still one behind?
Maybe? It should be the latest.
Okay, so that's the latest, 6.6. I think we have like 2 iterations of 6.6 already out now. So that is the one source of truth which controls the SDK version that you're using. Now, beyond that, if I look at CS Proj, I got pretty standard stuff in here. These are, multi-targeted projects. So TFMs, target frameworks, are .NET 10. That's my runtime. And then I have Android, iOS, browser, desktop, and all the things. These are all of your Uno features. So any toolkits, any material design, whatever else you want to add, those get added in there. But otherwise, it's all the same. Now, let me show you a couple of things in here that are of interest. So first up is this is a Hello World project. So I don't have anything else going in here. This, by the way, is Visual Studio recognizing it's a cross-platform project. So I'm going to choose that desktop as my runtime. Now, one thing to note here is my main page, right? So this is the only one page that I have. And notice there is no main page.xaml.cs, right? Because I didn't need it. If you do need it, absolutely, it's a partial class. We'll marry it up at runtime. But if you don't need it, you don't have to have it. Whatever is the little code behind the class that's needed, we'll wire it up at runtime. Also, you might notice that my main page XAML starts out from page. That is refreshing because I'm used to writing 6 lines of XAML namespaces everywhere. We don't have to anymore, right? So this is nice because if I go back here to the docs, I think we listed it. This is the stuff, right? And this is like the bare minimum. So XAML namespace, point to Microsoft WinFX, point to the XAML namespaces, and then the more and more things you use, the more and more namespaces you have to add. You don't have to do any of that anymore, right? So, Martin, do you want to speak to that anymore, or am I saying all the right things?
Or the right things, yeah. The one point that might be worth mentioning is this is something that we did as a custom thing because WinUI was not kind of bringing this feature in time. That's actually the question that Dan Siegel was asking. And so we implemented our own implementation. So this boilerplate removal is something that is Uno specific. And if you have a WinUI project in your solution, you will have to be verbose in this case. But for the second part, for the code behind source generation, that is supported on WinUI as well. So that one works across all platforms.
Right. So, I mean, if you are, Dan is pulling my, because I'm using Uno 6.6 as my project name. But yeah, the code generation can be there. But you can, if you are using any third-party libraries, any custom namespaces, or any other user controls, you can actually, just the way we have like a global using statements in .cs, you can now do global namespaces.xaml, and everything gets wired up, automatically. So which is nice. So that's wired up, and then Dan does a lot of MVVM stuff here as well. So no longer do I have to point. I'm kind of pointing the data context to the main view model, but that can also be automatic a little bit because I think somewhere in the properties, like there is an assembly info. So like it loads up all of the assemblies by default. So it will expose the main view model or other view models that I have. So I don't think I explicitly need to do the main view model, wiring up right there. Okay, so that's a little bit of XAML cleanup. So it's clean from the get-go. Just start with the page and off and running you go. Now, a couple of you asked about Vulkan. So if I go back and look at what this is, so let's go back to the Vulkan support. Where is that? I thought I had a link in there. This one here, opt-in Vulkan support. So what this does is it registers you to use the opt-in features of the Vulkan backend on the systems that support it, right? So Android, Linux, Windows, macOS, unfortunately not quite yet. Now, I think we saw a question here. Martin, maybe you can help me out. Is macOS like on Metal, or is it a matter of Skia Sharp catching on to these backends?
Yeah, macOS is rendering using Metal.
Yeah, okay.
It remains the same, and Vulkan is not there.
Yeah, okay. So for the ones that are supported, you can wire this up. You can opt in. So I kind of have in my project, you'll notice that in my desktop program.cs, this is like a host builder pattern. And again, not every maybe platform has it, but this is desktop. So all of Windows, Mac OS, and so on. So you're essentially saying, hey, Win32, go ahead and use Vulkan. X11, which is Android, go ahead and use Vulkan. And then you can be more explicit, I think, in Android's main Android.cs. No.
Yes, line 30.
Line 30, okay.
There.
Line 30, yes, thank you. So this is like a feature flag, right? So we are essentially setting that to true. So on Android, it uses Vulkan as the backend rendering. So again, on platforms where you do have this, go ahead and use it. You'll have GPU acceleration and just much, much faster, smoother rendering and animations. So that's there. The next thing I wanted to show you was some of what we talked about. And I essentially have this one page where it just shows you some of this, multi-language support, which is really nice. So let me see if I can run this really quick. So this is a sample project, doesn't have anything else to it, but just one page. Notice that I did not need a main page.cs. It just wires up and it's go from the get-go. So my dev server is kicking in, so my hot reload is still red, but it'll turn on green in a while, or maybe I'll just need to restart. I've been running this for a while. What you're seeing here are a couple of interesting things. So first up is IME composition support across each target. So what it means is there are languages like Chinese and Japanese and Korean and Vietnamese and Hindi and other languages where individual characters and letters are complicated, and they may not have a one-to-one mapping with a keyboard. So there might be additional ways in which you enter text in some of those languages. So Martin, am I explaining this right, or is there more to it?
Yeah, I actually didn't work on this feature specifically. Ramesh who worked on it, and because Ramesh has a good experience with more complex characters than me, he was a very good person to work on it. He added all those required things like character globbing and right to left and so on. So it's a very advanced and very complex feature. So there is a lot to it which is not visible, but ultimately it should work out of the box without you having to think about it, and your users should feel at home.
Yeah, and the thing that you have to hate is when your OS or when your apps cannot handle some of these characters, you get what's called like the tofu box, which is the most annoying thing, like the empty square. So hopefully you're not seeing that anywhere else as well. Like now it has like a font fallback as well. So again, right to left, left to right, everything is supported. So this one's saying essentially, hey, can you switch to your different language on your system, which I don't want to do right now, but then you can enter. So I essentially asked, my AI to say, can you give me some text box or some buttons where I can enter some text? So if I enter this in Mandarin, it's saying how many characters are committed. Like, so these are, it's counting the characters, not just like the symbols in between. And also when you actually go in and you go left and right, it actually knows how to traverse. Like it knows what each of the characters are. So that's the nice part. Japanese, Korean, and Vietnamese. So everything is covered. So what we are essentially trying to say, it's like also showing you the number of characters committed. So no matter how you're supporting global apps, language is hopefully not a problem. So we have IME support, we have font fallback for pretty much everything, right? Makes sense? All right, questions. I'm just reading them out as I speak. So Martin and Jonathan help me out as well. Multilingual is the reason why localization automation ID takes the value of XUIT.
I don't have an answer for that, unfortunately. I would have to check with the developer behind this feature.
Okay. All right. Let's see. What else? Questions. Dan Siegel was asking, namespace definition as well. We can combine multiple CLI namespaces into common. So you're talking about a common library that you can use across WPF, Xamarin, Maui, Uno, and you want to have an XML namespace definition. So I want to say that should be doable now with the global stuff. Martin, do you know?
I think this should be supported. I haven't tested it though, so feel free to try it out. If it doesn't work, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, if only we had some sort of a library maintainer, who makes libraries that runs across all platforms. So yeah, Dan, please give it a shot with your Prism and other tooling that you help maintain. Okay, multilingual support is very important. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and Dan, by the way, lives the high life of being on a beach all day. So he has language needs beyond the regular folks like us. Okay, so that's a look at language support. That's a look at Vulkan. I cannot run Vulkan on my Mac yet, but maybe Martin or Jonathan, one of you can. So let me stop this here and see. Martin, do you want to take over and show stuff, or Jonathan, do you want to? Okay.
I can show you just 3 simple samples, nothing huge.
All right, hold on. Where is your desktop? Okay, there we go.
This is just a few examples of the new APIs that we added to Uno Core. So specifically the projection APIs. So you can see these nice projection-based samples that are using the plane projection and matrix 3D projection. So they are kind of complex to get started with, but if you use an agent, it can help you get these animations up and running quite easily, and they make your application more interesting and more alive. So it's something that I probably wouldn't implement myself because I'm not a mathematician, but you can get the help from agent quite easily today, and it helps and makes for a nice change in your application. So that's projection.
Hold on. Where are you running this? Is this Skia Sharp?
This is Skia Sharp on desktop. So this is a desktop Win32 target of Uno platform. So of course the same thing works on WinUI because it's the WinUI APIs that we implemented. So it behaves exactly the same there.
Okay. So can I ask a question here? Might be relevant. So MCNets is asking, I have a control drawn directly on canvas. Should I use Skia Sharp to draw the entire control? So the control is on canvas, and that is Skia Sharp. So maybe you're not following. So is Skia Sharp not rendering the whole control?
Well, if you're building application using Skia, like this targeting Uno Skia target, then everything is a canvas, essentially.
Yeah.
So even if you are just using XAML, it's still a canvas-based rendering, essentially.
Yeah. Templated controls.
Those are supported. Like XAML template controls are supported, of course.
Okay. All right. Now let me bring up one more question. Hawkman is asking, it would be great if my app was able to query what rendering is used. Oh, I see. So you have all of these opt-in things, like you are using Vulkan when available. So you're now wondering what exactly did the app use to render the UI of your app on each platform.
That makes sense. It's a good idea, actually, because in some cases you are opting into something and then it falls back into something else
Right.
because it is not supported. So this is a good idea. I'm not sure if you can get that information right now using our existing APIs. I would have to check, but is this something that would be worth reporting as an issue, because that's
Yeah.
a useful feature?
I mean, there are fallbacks. So even if you have lineup for the best one and that same code runs like on Mac OS, it's going to fall back to OpenGL, but you're wanting to know what did it actually use. So it would have to be done like in a low level, like a logging type thing. So yeah, that's good feedback to see if we can, expose that in some way. Okay, Martin, what are you showing here?
Yeah.
Menu flyout.
I just showing the menu flyout. I'm not sure if it's probably not too well visible, right? I would like to.
No, I kind of see it. No, I see it. Yeah.
I will just scale it up still because it's a small feature. So if it doesn't show up too well, it will not be as great. So just a moment, I will scale up my PC. In the meantime, if there is another question, you can take that.
And by the way, I love, like, we almost have like 100 people watching across YouTube, X, and LinkedIn. So thank you to each of you for taking the time to watch. And again, do chime in chat as to where you're watching this from. It's always always curious.
Okay.
And for some reason, Mr. Pryor, I don't know why, for the longest time I thought you were Seattle. So I'm just happily going about calling you West Coast. All right.
Yeah, I get it now. So it should be now much better. So this is just showing the new menu flyout feature that we have. It's like we had menu flyout before, but now it's completely in sync with WinUI. It has all the features, all the advanced features like keyboard accelerator support, and actually rendering in the menu flyout now. And we have nesting, and also we have the new split menu flyout feature, which is something that was added recently in WinUI, and it allows you to make this like button-based item, which also has an expansion into some advanced options. So this is something that wasn't possible before, and now it is built in and available for apps.
Good stuff. Desktop developers and users, we love our shortcuts, right? You got to give us a shortcut way to invoke these menus. Yeah.
And actually, one more interesting thing, just as you were talking about desktop, if you are using the same on touch devices where the touch targets are smaller, the menu flyouts are now bigger automatically when you touch them. So it kind of expands and makes them larger so you can more easily tap and click.
So does it do things like, so tap is one thing, but is the menu like a long touch, or is it hover? Like how does it trigger?
That depends on the control, actually, and in some cases it is touch and hold to trigger like a right click action, basically, and that should be the default for menu flyout and context flyouts. So I think that would be probably the default behavior in most controls.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Oh, hey, while we're talking, look at this. Our good friend, Mr. El Bruno, is here from sunny Canada. Well, Canada is not very sunny these days. If you're on the western side, you have had some wildfires to deal with. Hopefully, I can't remember where you are in Canada. If you're on the Toronto side or East Coast, you're fine, but the West Coast is dealing with some smoke, and it's coming down like all the way the rest of the Americas as well. So hopefully you are good and you're taken care of. Okay, so what else, Martin?
Yeah, this is my final demo, actually.
All right.
So this is the element lamel theming that I was talking about before. It was in our backlog since like 2019, maybe. It was like one of the longest running issues that we had, and it's finally now closed and supported fully. So it actually took. I started working on it maybe like 5 years ago. Then that attempt failed. I tried another try several times. Like I think like four iterations of this, and finally it worked out.
Yeah.
So We have this
Did you?
support.
I was going to ask, like, did your good friend Copilot or Claude help out in any ways?
Yes, actually it did. Like the main problem here is that the implementation of theming in WinUI, which is where we port our logic from, is super complex and super intervened into multiple different files, multiple different locations, and it's very hard to kind of gather all the locations and all the related files that make up this feature. So that was probably the hardest part of it. But yeah, ultimately it worked out. So
Yeah,
I'm happy to see that.
You're right. So when we use AI as normal human beings, and Martin is not normal, we have a lot of help. We have MCPs, we have skills, and we are building high-level things on top of a foundational stack. But when you go down to that low of a level, sometimes AI does not help at all because it doesn't know like you're asking for like a fresh implementation of something. Yes, it can write C#, but it doesn't know all of the nuances. So Martin, thank you for what you do.
Yeah. So yeah, this really helps, especially with these complex things when you want to analyze code and really get to understand it. And when you're porting WinUI code, that is really required.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah,
all right. Very
that's
cool
probably it
stuff.
for my
Yeah.
my demos.
Yeah. Very cool. And again, you can put Martin in a spot anytime. Like he always has demos out of his pocket. Like he is, so into it. So thank you. Thank you. All right. So, Mr. Jonathan Pryor, you've been quiet. Anything you want to say about AOT? Anything you want to show? I know it's tricky.
Yeah, I've got something I can demo with the with native AOT, assuming
All
I
right.
can
This
figure
is
out how to properly share my screen.
We are into uncharted territory here, with AOTs because you are dealing with low-level things and you are trying to showcase differences, which is really hard.
All right, so hopefully you see
I
the
see
shelf.
your desktop. Okay, let's bring it up.
Excellent.
And
so
if you don't mind, before you start, like hit that little hide button. My OCD is going to want to click on that.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so I mentioned that with native AOT we have a size difference. So I have two builds here. I've got Core CLR in one tab, and I've got native AOT in the other. And we can see native AOT is larger for this particular build, 719 megabytes versus 547. And so the question is, what do you get for that difference? I have added support to have it immediately exit so that I can get wonderful startup time information. And with native AOT on this particular machine, it's taking roughly a quarter of a second when I'm using native AOT. Whereas when I'm using Core CLR, the startup time is 3/4 of a second. It blink and you miss it, but it is a noticeable difference. More interesting is when we just run it. So if we do it side by side, and I'll have Core CLR on the right, and I'll have native AOT on the left.
Look at that. By the way, as you start talking about this, I do want to mention this app that Jonathan is running. It's not a small one. It is Chefs, which is one of our showcase apps. It's all open source. You can go play with it and run with it. But while it might not be as enterprise, real as like when hundreds of pages, it does have dozens of pages and view models. So it's a complicated app.
Let's make native AOT white. Now, so the other thing, and again, this is a bit of a blink and you'll miss it, but when we click around, there is it's barely there, but there is a noticeable difference in performance between the two. So we've gotten to the same point, and we click on avocado toast, and there was a slight blink, and then we get there. With native AOT, it's a faster blink, right?
Yeah, I mean, you see it. You see it even here.
It is very clearly a faster experience when using native AOT. And so we'll just go to the next, and yay, we're done with our cooking. Right.
Yeah.
But just overall, using the native AOT version is just noticeably faster, and it just feels faster when going across in between all of these pages. You pay for that in terms of app size, but it is very nice. And how much the app size is the penalty, as it were, depends upon your platform. I believe with Android, I'd have to double check, but I believe with Android, native AOT actually winds up being smaller.
Oh, really?
It's nice, but
Yeah.
it is not consistently larger. And one of the other oddities here is that I can't get to my terminal. One of the oddities with, say, the native AOT one, which is here, is there's stuff in here that isn't really relevant. Like or at least the last time I looked through here, there was stuff that wasn't relevant. Like we've got Windows ARM64 stuff. It's like, I'm on a Mac. I don't need libVLC, WinARM64. That's not a thing that is at all appropriate or relevant. And yet, if I take a look at the size of this unnecessary stuff, that's 282 megs that I don't need. So yeah, it's bigger, but I don't actually need that. Although at the same time, presumably the Core CLR would also have that.
So can I ask you a few questions here? So the build,
Yeah, it's
like
also there too.
I didn't see like exactly what you did. Like, was it a generic build, or could you do like a platform specific build where it does not include some of that?
And I haven't dug into why this is here in the first place.
Right.
So right now, I'd be inclined to say look through the output directory and delete anything that you don't think you need. Like
Right.
Lua, the VLC Lua. Yeah, I don't see why on Mac I would need that. But the same thing is also on the Core CLR build. So it's not like it's specific to the native AOT build versus not. This is just what the build is generating, and there's just a bunch of Windows stuff in here.
Okay. So a few more questions. You said based on your machine, how long that build might take. Is there a machine dependency? Is there more work to be done by the processor as it does the build?
Well, yeah, build what native AOT, it's taking your IL and compiling it into native code. And so depending on the size of your app, it needs to go through everything. Whereas with regular Core CLR without ready to run enabled, which I think is the default, it just takes assemblies from, say, NuGet packages or wherever else you previously built it from. So it just needs to copy them. It doesn't need to process them.
Right.
Whereas with native AOT, it needs to process everything. And so that does contribute to build time.
Yeah. Okay. Another question is, this is, an app which has lots of, imagery, lots of views and view models and APIs that are being used. What did you have to do in terms of cleaning up to make it AOT compatible?
Most of it was fixing core and extensions and various other bits so that things would just work when it got to chefs. The hope is that when people try to build for native AOT using the platform, most of their apps will just work. I know of one exception offhand, which is fixed in 6.7, not yet released, but there,
It's
which
cooking.
is it's cooking, is WebView 2, web browser support on Windows does not work properly under native AOT with 6.6. But if you're on Linux, if you're on Mac, it's fine. That's fixed in 6.7.
Okay.
But otherwise, we would love you to build your apps and using the instructions that we have in our documentation, basically set the publish AOT MS build property to true inside your CS proj, and let us know what breaks. And I will take a look at it and see if we can add a bit more magic around so that if it doesn't work for you, it will work for you in the future, hopefully. We can't fix everything if your app is making heavy use of reflection or doing something that's not supported at all, like assembly.load. Well, I'm sorry, we can't solve all issues, but we can try.
Yeah. All right, well said. And yeah, this is native AOT now lit up on 5 different platforms, if that's what you want to do. Clearly faster, as Jonathan pointed out. But again, it depends on your use case. Depends on how much of the performance you want, at startup time versus the app building cost. But good to know that you have this flexibility of doing it if you want. Yeah. Anything else, Jonathan?
No. So I need
Yeah.
to figure out how to stop sharing screen. Oh, that's
I can do that. Yeah, yeah.
Ah!
There you go. All right, good stuff. So, chat room, let us know if you have any more questions. We have like 3 minutes left of the time that we said we'll go for an hour. So maybe I can pull my screen back up and show what I was referring to at the beginning. We'll see if I can manage to do something in 3 minutes. All right. So where am I? Okay. Back in VS Code. I don't want to be in VS Code, but anyway. So this is what the release is. Now, before I can actually recap this a little bit quick, but let's go back to what Martin had mentioned. Initially, the things we can do purely in browser. Now, wait. Am I frozen?
No, you're
I
not. Seems so. This is
I
fine.
look frozen, but okay, no, it was a little network blip. Okay, so maybe you're seeing my screen here now. Okay,
Yep.
so by the way, we are not talking about this. We'll, talk about this much more at length at another maybe webinar. But this is Uno Platform Studio. So everything that you see foundationally, and let me actually fire off a prompt, and then we'll talk about this a little bit. So let's just say let's make a one page, if I can type, immersive weather app. Use Prague, where Martin is, as location. One of the worst prompts you can give to AI, because I'm not giving it anything. So we are essentially saying, hey, can you go build this app? So what I wanted to show you in like 3 minutes, if it comes back in time, because again, this is an agent actually spinning up a full app and doing its thing. So it takes time, just like any other agent. So what it's doing here is utilizing all of the foundational things that Martin and Jonathan talked about. This is Uno, 6.6 is what's using underneath, but it's now using all of the AI chops and all of the design things on top and spinning up a full app for you. Again, this is a full .NET app compared to other web-based app builder type things you might use. They make mostly web apps, right? And they're good to prototype, kind of not good for maintaining long term. This is real. This is as real as it gets. This is a full-on .NET app. And look, I'm keeping it on the main screen here just so you can see like what it's doing is coming up with an empty shell. And then as the AI agent writes more and more code, it gets hot reloaded into your running app, which is magical. And not only do you get an app or a screen or a feature at the end of it, there are other things you can do. To manipulate the design, to play around with it, either with the agent or manually. So we'll give it a little bit more time here. You can see what it's doing. It's loading up mock data. It's doing a page build. It's got XAML going. It's got main model going, main page going. So it's working away, burning through a little bit of my credits, but that's okay. But in the meantime, back to the blog. So this is where we have put out everything that's in Uno Platform 6.6. So please read through it because this is down in core, down to the metal. So you'll get all of these performance and everything that you see here. It's open source, and you'll benefit from this when you use Uno Platform to make any .NET app that goes places. So native AOT across 5 platforms. Oh, MCP stuff. I did not show you this at all. So let's quickly go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go in here, go to the docs really quick. And what I wanted to show you was no matter what you are using. So for example, many of you like using Claude. So it should be automatic. But if you do not see our MCP servers in the past, you would have to do a Claude MCP add. So you're adding the MCP servers manually. You can still do it, but the idea is you don't have to anymore because we'll wire it up for you based on the project and the ID that we see. For example, in this project that I have, if I pull up GitHub Copilot in here, and GitHub Copilot is confused, it's not showing me that. So let me close this for a second. I'm trying to get to all of the tooling that it has. So let's go run this again with Uno 6.6. That project, open this up. And now if I go into GitHub Copilot and if I look at my MCP tooling, it's all wired up. So I didn't have to do anything. And that's the idea. Like you fall into a bit of success, Visual Studio, VS Code, Writer, it's all the same. So I have my docs MCP, so my agents can get initialized correctly, and they have design pattern context and everything. And then I have dev server, which is all of the interaction bits for my app. So everything is wired up from the get-go. So automatic MCP registration, no matter which platform you are on. Okay. Oh boy, you are raising a question that Martin would love to talk an hour about. Martin, I'll let you answer.
So I cannot really tell anything more than we are looking at Microsoft UI Reactor, and we might have some news soon. And yeah, that's probably probably the extent of what I will share right now. But yeah, definitely it's a very interesting project and brings some very interesting potential avenues for Uno platform to expand to. So
yeah, I mean, I'll be the old school guy. Like I love my XAML because it lights up so much of tooling and design things. But I see like the cool kids doing reactive things, and that's great. I mean, single file. And MVUX and Reactor are two slightly different things. MVUX is more of a design pattern, while Reactor is more of do it all in one file. But to Martin's point, we're looking at it, so we'll see what the future holds. Okay, so that was MCP registration. Where else was I? Let's go back to my browser. I'm looking at the time. We are over. So let's just quickly wrap up. So MCP registration is done. Vulkan rendering, it's optional for you to opt in. Boilerplate XAML, you got expanded WinUI coverage. Those little things matter. As Martin showed you, we didn't get to show you the screen reader support. Accessibility, just like multi-language support, is important for you, especially if you are building apps for governments or other enterprises. So now you have screen reader support all across any Skia rendered platform. So take a look at that. We talked about IME composition. We talked about font fallback. Skia Sharp 4, essentially, it's a setting in your CS Proj where you can opt in to use Skia Sharp 4 rendering. Again, early days, but that part is stable. We are testing more things with our Uno pipeline. So yeah, that's Uno 6.6 in a nutshell. And I see like this one has gone green. Right, so that means that agent is done for now. So I can go into design and system, and let's look at app in here. So there's an app, right? And again, I gave it a really bad prompt, but it came up with something that's decent. Could improve a lot of things, but I got the initial bits going. So this is apparently 18 degrees in Prague, which I don't know if it's accurate, but in here I can go into agent mode and I can still iterate. If I didn't like something, I can iterate. And again, it's all foundationally Uno platform, but this is the AI magic on top with platform and Uno Platform Studio. So it's telling me all the things it did. It got me a hero section, stats panels, hourly forecast, and so on. I could go into design mode and I could go into selection mode, and now I can really drill down into exactly a piece of UI that I want to change. And it shows you the visual tree, shows me a toolbox of all of the UI, and I get to properties to edit. So none of this costs you any AI costs. So you can do this manually, or you can do it with an agent. And we are doing more and more on it, so you can do more and more design things. That's going to light up in upcoming releases. But to me, this is phenomenal that we can do this in a browser. Okay. I've spoken way too much, but Martin and Jonathan, any other parting thoughts for 6.6?
So I'll start. I just encourage people to try it out and get a feel of the new features, try everything, and especially send us feedback, because that's what we need to improve.
Yep, well said, well said. Anything else in the chat room? Dan Siegel is here. Oh, come on, Dan. No, I get what you're saying. It's not for everyone. It gets verbose, yes, but the cool kids love it, so we got to make sure we are including everyone, right? That's all I'll say. We're talking about specific merges, PRs. If that's merged, do I get a white T-shirt? That's a question for
That's
Jonathan.
fair. That's fair. We'll get it working. Yeah. We don't have, we don't have many of them, but we should get you one.
Yeah. Okay. It's great.
And I actually see there is another question about the T-shirt. Yeah, if you didn't get a T-shirt after your PR was merged, there was a form, and if you fill it out, then we should get your address. So if it didn't get there, just ping us an email, and we should get it sent.
info@platform.uno. Give us a ping. That hits most of our inboxes. We'll take care of things. Okay. All right, people. Thank you for hanging out with us for a little over an hour now. Hopefully you see that we are excited to bring Uno Platform 6.6, and like Jonathan kind of hinted at, 6.7 is almost there as well. So we are doing much more faster back-to-back releases, trying to support all the latest runtimes and core CLR bits and more changes on the studio side of things. So we are very busy and cranking away as fast as we can. But all of it is for developers to be more productive, for us to be able to take .NET more comfortably to all of the places with the best possible performance and productivity tools for developers. Yeah. Okay. All right. So Rashmit, thank you for the compliment. Again, this is more of just us getting together and informally just talking about what's on the top of our minds. So glad you liked it. We'll maybe do more and more of these because we also get to hear from you folks in the community about what you are working on, what you want us to be fixed. So yeah. Cool. Martin and Jonathan, thank you so much for spending an hour out of your busy day with me, hanging out and showing things off. Jonathan, that native AOT demo is awesome. The fact that you could spin this up and show two things side by side color coded, that is phenomenal. So thank you. And Martin, I'm not surprised. You always have demos. So thank you, gentlemen. And chat room, MCNet, Ashiroth, Dan Siegel, New Not Found Dave, every one of you, thank you for the comments. Thank you for being engaged as we work on Uno Platform in an open source way. We all move this together. So thank you all. And everybody else watching live, thank you for your time. We'll record this, put this up on the YouTube's eventually. But thanks a lot. And all we ask is you don't trust a word that we are saying today. Just try it out, right? On the platform 6.6. Okay, that's it, folks. And thank you, MCNets. And with that, we'll call this a stream. And we'll see you on the next one. All right? Take care and bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.